Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamaduchyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. People sometimes say that, you follow a ritual. No, it is not a ritual. That is infinite and all pervading. So this is also infinite and all pervading. What it means, that real self is infinite. So I am also infinite. Then the real self is not you. So you are still claiming that this body mind complex is you. That is the problem. What the master says, repeat listening and learning, repeat contemplation and reflection, and repeat practice. Otherwise, nothing is going to happen. You wake up in the morning, I'll talk about it. So, first, go to this mantra. What the master is saying, that is infinite. What is that? Is pointing to the real self. Hence, this is also infinite. So I'm looking at the essence. It is because that consciousness has given name and the form. So this name and form is not infinite. Prove it. How do you prove it? Listening, learning, consistent listening and learning. Repeat listening and learning. Repeat contemplation and reflection. Repeat practice and experience. The time comes, you need not to do the practice. Really? You have a non-verbal awareness that you are man, you are woman. Is it not? You never think about it. No words is uttered. You are simply aware. Oh, are you a man? You will say, are you crazy? No doubt. No doubt about it. Because, I have to lay a foundation of the model that is being talked about in this journey when we talk of mindfulness here and now. So that is infinite, hence this is infinite. Taking the infinitude of the infinite. So I take the water into the wave, I still see the essence is the water. I still see the essence is water. How? Repeat listening and learning, repeat contemplation and reflection. We become so sad in a contemplation for small things in the world. We don't recognize the world is constantly changing. This has to happen. Can I stop being old? Not possible. No, I have become old. What should I do? I see a lot of articles. How to succeed in retirement. You don't retire at any moment. You stop going to the washroom when you are, say, over 65. That is superimposition. Last time I talked about it. But anyhow, so taking the infinitude of the infinite, it remains as the infinite alone. There is nothing that changes. I am constantly aware of that consciousness which is unchanging, on which the world is playing, on which the body and the mind and the intellect and the ego, everything is playing. This is just a play and a fun. Do I remember? I don't remember. Why I don't remember? Because there is no repeat listening and learning. There is no contemplation and reflection. Do you find the time every day, at least, even before going to sleep? I am real self. No, I have a lot of pain in the body. First, let me take care of the pain. Even in the pain, do you remember? Do you recall that I am the real self? Pain will come and go. So when you prove it, wholeness, when I say that real self is all pervading, intellectually you prove it every day. How? By repeat listening and learning, by repeat contemplation and reflection, by repeat practice and experience. The time will come. I gave you one example. I'm going to give you many examples. What is that? You are a man, you are a woman. Do you ever think of it? Answer is no. What is that? You are just aware. There is just an awareness. There is none. You have proved it. You have proved it. What you have proved? You have proved a superimposition because of these characteristics that you are man and you are women. Is it not? Is it not? Ask yourself. So similarly, what I have to do, I have to what is superimposed, I have to de-superimpose. Then whatever is left is the real self. Whatever is left is the pure consciousness. Whatever is left is the peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. This is what the Master is saying in this mantra. Wholeness. Oh, he is whole. I am unwhole. This is what happens. Every day we wake up, this is a bad morning. I forget I'm whole. I have to prove it. The moment I prove it, there is a harmony in life. If you don't prove it, you are working through the superimposition. That superimposition causes the duality, conflict, pain, pressure in our life, and we forget about the mindfulness. Then I have a fancy, live in a moment. You are already in stress. You are experiencing the stress. So live in mindfulness. Live in anger. This is how we understand. You have to limitations. I have to get out. Where there is a limitation, I forget I'm in ignorance. At this moment also. At this moment. This is what the mantra says. Now let us slowly wave to water, clay pot, clay to the clay pot. I have to, if I don't contemplate and reflect, is water in the wave or wave in the water? If I'm thinking the wave is there in the water, what it means? Do you know what it means? It means the real self is within my body and mind complex. But the fact is reversed. This body-mind complex, which is a superimposition, is like a wave, and the real self is the real entity. Did you understand this? Is water in the wave or wave in the water? The first thing that I have to prove, what I have to prove? Where is the mind? It is in the real self. Where is the body? It is in the real self. Where is the pain, pleasure? It is in the real self, not the reverse. Why? that real self is all pervading, pure consciousness. And this can happen only when I contemplate and reflect. Is there space in the room, or you just see that we are misguided. It's a superimposition by the mind. Oh, I have a lot of space. My covered area is whatever you want to say, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 square feet, so called my home. That means the space is inside the room. It is not a fact. The room is inside this body mind complex is in the. I have understood it. When I wake up in the morning, I have lot of pain. I have forgotten it. Many waves, millions, 9 billion waves are present in the real self, which is one. Now our population is approaching to 9 billion. Do you see that? I have to contemplate and reflect to rise in awareness. Intellect has proved it, and then I live into that awareness. That is what the mindfulness is. Mindfulness, I'm living from moment to moment. Otherwise, it is a joke. It is just a play and a fun. It is another superimposition. Many waves, millions of the waves. This name and the form, where you see the name and form, it is constantly changing. And what is constantly changing has to be present to within. That is all pervading. I'm limited. And this superimposition has to go. If this superimposition doesn't go, then we do not reach to what we say awakening or realization. That is why I'm just deviating a bit. That is why we say the God is all pervading. Yes, it is. Your God is all pervading. My God is all pervading. That simply means the pure consciousness. Nothing more. You have given a label to it. That is all. Now see that if I make a statement that we don't need the real self to live in any one of us, it is living. It is constantly living. I don't need it. I have to simply recognize it. I have to live into that awareness. You do not need the real self to live in any one of us, but all people with the name and the form, like the waves, all the house in the space. This name and the form is within the real self. What is superimposition? My real self is within me. Soul is within me. So that all pervading infinite consciousness is limiting, is living in this limited body and the mind. That is superimposition. What our master says, that whether this name and form exist, yes, real self is there. If it does not exist, real self is still there. And if I recognize that I'm the real self 24/7, I have reached to that state. Real self is. Body mind complex is today, is not tomorrow, was not 66 years ago. I'm reminding you again and again. Don't think that you will not become old. If you have a wrong perception, that is also a superimposition. Reminding you, real self is within me, or when I recognize that this body mind complex is, I am within the real self. Awakening is not an imagination. It is not a bluff. It is not a delusion. It is not. It is not. Why I said so? Imagination, bluff, and delusion. Who are the instruments that creates imagination, bluff, and delusion? It is my sense organs and the mind. That is why we say the real self transcends the body and the mind. It cannot be perceived by the mind. It cannot be perceived by the sense organs. Sense organ. My eyes can see the form, ears can hear the sound. It's a limited. That is why we say we need to transcend. And how you transcend? If this knowledge does not settle in you, it will not work. Intellectually, we have understood. So, what needs to be done? Listening and learning constantly, contemplation and reflection. You have to find the time, at least for an hour, for contemplation and reflection, and then that contemplation and reflection should continue during the day. Why? You wake up in the morning, non-verbally you recognize you are man and women. I'm giving a metaphor. Metaphor not exactly equal to the knowledge, but it gives you the idea, hint. It makes you aware. Oh, yes, I need not to think about it. I'm fully aware of it. Very good. I'm fully aware of it. Are you clear? Yes. If you wake up in the morning, you wake up to the same world. You don't wake up with the real self. You wake up in time, you wake up in objects, and you wake up in location. Then we wake up in relations, we wake up in event, we wake up in pain, we wake up in pleasure. Superimposition. Do you recognize millions of superimposition is there every day when we wake up in the morning until we retire to the bed? When you wake up to the real self, that is what the awakening is. That is what the mindfulness is. That is what is the meaning of living in a moment. It cannot happen until we repeat listening and learning. You and I heard from my parents in the beginning, even when I did not know the language. Oh, who is born boy? Who is born girl? As you grow older, you have heard trillions of times. Boy, girl, man, women, you. Now I don't need to even think of it. I know who I am. Man or a woman. Master says if you are not listening and learning these principles, if you are not contemplating and reflecting daily, you are not doing a practice, what will happen? I see a beautiful blue color in the meditation. Yes, keep on seeing the blue color. Your eyes are given to you, you close your eyes, and then you are seeing the blue color in meditation. Now I see the 100 suns light, all imagination. Even though they help you, that mind is focused. You have gone deeper. But it has nothing to do with recognition. It has nothing to do with realization. Be very clear. What I was saying, I'm repeating it. Every day, my mind wakes up to the world outside. It does not wake up to the world. That proves that where I stand. Did you understand? I wake up to the. You wake up. You wake up to the real self. That is awakening. But I always wake up to the world. When I wake up to the world, then I wake up to the time and the object and location, then wake up to the relations, events, pain, and the pleasure. Then I waking state is name in the world of name and form. It is superimposition. How it will happen. When I wake up to the real self, you are aware. Wake up means you are aware. Instead, you are aware that you are body and the mind entity. You are aware you are the real self. What happens even I'm sleeping in the waking state? What it means by sleeping in the waking state, I'm getting carried away by the world of name and the form. In one single word, we can say we are carried away by the waves. Or inside the wave, there is a water. So what happens, I'm just laying a foundation for another 3 verses. Because if we don't go to the basics, we cannot understand. So now question is that real self is the truth, it is the pure consciousness, it is all pervading, it is eternal, it is whatever we say. It is of the nature of peace and happiness, but my mind cannot hold on to it. Why the mind cannot hold on to it? Go back 50 students. One student is my son. They all are singing in a chorus. I know he is, but superimposition. I can't hold on to the real self. Why I can't hold on to the real self? Because there are millions of superimpositions. Every day, every moment. The mind is habituated in and it succeeded in holding the world of time, object, and relations. It fails to hold on to the real self. We succeeded in holding relations to be happy. We are not holding the real self to discover happiness is in me. Superimposition. You see, superimposition and imposition. Every teacher has their own expression. So that is why I'm expressing in my I succeed in holding wealth to be happy. I'm not saying that you leave the wealth, but I'm saying that my mind superimposed. So I'm making a statement. I succeed in holding wealth lying in the bank, secure. To be happy, I fail to hold the real self to find happiness is there. I succeeded many a times falling into sleep to be relaxed. I fail to hold on to the real self to discover relaxation and happiness belongs to the real. Do you see the superimposition and the superimposition? Think of this, maybe 100 lists when you are contemplating, reflect on this. And when you reflect on this, you are going through the process of superimposition and desuperimposition in your intellect. First time we will be absorbed. What is that self absorption? You are already into the meditation, but just by contemplation and reflection. This is what the master is saying. That is why the master says, why you are practicing, what you are practicing. We are talking of the model of superimposition, desuperimposition. Superimposition is like a mirage in the desert, water, mirage water in the desert. It is like a wave in the water. The mind is continuously holding on this superimposition, which is called the impurities of the mind, ignorance of the mind. Unless these impurities will go away, I cannot hold on to the real self. You wake up in the morning, you say, I'm a man and woman. Your mind is holding on to it. How it is holding on to it. What happened? How you succeeded? I told you. What I told you. That we were born. I did not know the language. My parents said, oh, look at the boy. All the kids are beautiful. All the babies are really. So this boyhood in the man has been repeated by the society millions of times. So the mind is holding on to this that I'm a man and you are a woman. So masters found out this, oh, this is what we have to do it. The mind should continuously listening and learning, contemplation and reflection. When you contemplate and reflect, someday your mind will be absorbed completely that I am the real self, and then the real self will shine. That is why we say 3 steps are very important. Rest are secondary. Practice of the asanas, practice of breathing, practice of mantra, etc. are secondary. We are not talking in Saturday's session. Think, think, think. Perception, knowledge, awareness, experience. One thing is common, consciousness. So that consciousness I can explain in terms of perception, I can explain in terms of knowledge, awareness, or experience. Do you see that? We have to prove that we are real self. Based on the knowledge of the Eastern wisdom, then only I will have a perception, I have a knowledge, I'm aware of it. That is what we say, aware of a moment, mindfulness. Intellectually, I understood, yes, you are right. I am the real self. After an hour, I have lot of pain in the body. I forget the real self. Today I proved that the sum of 3 angles of a triangle is 180 degree. After an hour, it becomes 170 degree or 200 degree. Is it not that we are making joke to ourselves? That is what we say the ignorance is. That is what we say that this is what the superimposition and de-superimposition is. I'm making it very simple in my own way. Do you see that? Oh my honey, how you were man yesterday, today you became women. This is what we do every day. No, I don't believe, I'm not so much crazy. Really? Are you sure? Let me give you an example. It happened in a session which I volunteer for the Ukrainian, the other session. Dennis is not a part, but the Dennis is away. The two girls, they told me that they are the soulmate to each other. They are such a great friend. And the next hour they became enemy. What do you mean by it? What do you mean by it? There is nothing friendship or enmity. It is superimposition and desuperimpposition. When you recognize this, I have to recognize that ignorance, that delusion. The more you recognize this, you are removing it. Yeah, I gave an example by that today I proved it. The sum of angles of a triangle is 180 degree, and just after an hour it is 175 degree. From where it comes? Where it comes? From the delusion. Because you criticized me, so you are my enemy from today. You are referring to the body and the mind complex. You are not referring to the real self. Master says, I have to prove by self-inquiry that I am the real self. Let us when you contemplate and reflect, then you will recognize. You are contemplating and reflecting. And you are, for example, if you tell my experience, I constantly contemplating and reflecting, oh, is she my honey? Is she my wife? Okay, what does it mean by it? What does it mean by the wife? Is it a label? Then what happens to the label? So there is a pleasure, there is a pain. Oh, let me get rid of it. Ultimately, you reach to a point that who is thinking, who is contemplating the one wave towards the other wave? The real self is common factor. So mind is the problem. Mind is the crazy, lazy, obsessed, craving, fight, ego, depression, duality, all belongs to the mind. Do you see the psychotherapy in this journey of self-discovery? What is superimposition? I don't want to say a lot of things, otherwise they will sue me. Doctor says you have a deep depression. You go back home, honey, I'm very much depressed. You have already created a label. Now you live with the label. You may be angry because of your past impression that took place last year. Oh, I'm sorry, I became angry. Why? Because I did not take the pills. That's why I became angry. I don't want to go too much. Otherwise, people will sue me. I know that. You are teaching, you are guiding the people. You are of the nature of real self. Come on, you are peace and happiness, love and wisdom. You were depressed in childhood? No. Now you are constantly changing. Anyhow, leave that part. I'm going to the main part, the mind as a projector. When the mind is acting like a projector, it casts an image on the black screen. We project our thoughts and expectations onto the reality. Desuperimposition is recognizing the screen's true nature. Did you get it? Any thought, feeling, and emotions comes, oh, you insulted me. That is also a projection. You love me. That is also a projection. You hate me. That is also a projection. Thank you very much for hating me. At least I've recognized the desuperimposition. Do you see that? Then only you wake up in the morning to the real self. First thing that did you recognize? Mind is a projector, like a projector casting images on the blank screen. We project our thoughts, our expectations, our desires, our labels onto the reality, onto the consciousness. Desuperimposition is recognizing, simply you recognize that this is delusion. Consistent listening, learning, contemplation, reflection will work. Nothing else will work. I had a blue light in my meditation. Keep on seeing the blue light. This master says you are already, because you are not interested in contemplation and reflection, you are not interested in gaining the right knowledge of the real self, hence you have a blue light, you have my soul went outside and then it returned to my body. Oh, very good. The soul returned soul went outside without body and the mind, so you are a ghost. We created so much of ignorance. Another desuperimposition, the life, role in my life like a cloth, like clothes. We wear different outfits. Professional, parent, friends, casual. America has taught us, that is what I was saying. It's a casual dress. It's a formal. What else? I don't know. There are a lot of Jerry and maybe Brandy and David knows, there's so much. Life role as a cloth. But beneath is unchanged. I have to recognize that. Beneath is unchanged. Desuperimposition is knowing I am not the clothes. I don't want to say, but let me say it. In a bathroom, we remove all the clothes to take a bath. We have to be naked to know the real self. This is just a metaphor. Don't take it other way. Relationship as a mirror. Take the relationship as a mirror. It is not going to decrease your love and affection. It is going to increase your love and care. Because you will drop your crazy and laziness or your complaint and reaction against your honey. I'm coming to the same. Relationship is simply a mirror. Or she or he react. It's okay. It's a part of the life. It's a part of the way. Wave rises little higher. Wave is not rising little higher. I love you. Why should I say it? Sometimes we also make an expression. So we often see our projected fears and desires reflected back. It reflects back. You said something to your honey, so at least for an hour or so, you are not going to talk. Am I opening to you your daily habit? You see that. We have to get rid of it. But how it will happen? Constant, consistent listening, learning, contemplation, reflection. Oh, I'm holding on to the real self. I'm holding on to the water. I'm holding on to the space. No, I'm not holding on to my room. I'm not holding on to my car. I'm not holding on to my clothes. I'm holding on to my real self. Where? In my mind. How? By recognizing and remembering. Identity as a waves. We create lot of identity, like waves thinking they are separate from the ocean. That is what happens when we wake up every day in the morning. And you can also, there is another format of the superimposition. Mind as a colored glasses. We see the world through the filter of the past experiences. I have to get rid of these past experiences. Then only this will work. Otherwise, whether we continue to practice meditation for 50 years, nothing is going to happen. And nothing has happened. I always ask people, I've been practicing meditation for how long? 20 years now. Then what happened? Oh, just few years ago, I have certain problems, so I thought better to leave it. You have left it? You have left to recognize that you are the real self? That is what the meditation is. Oh, because I have a lot of things to do in the world. Whatever you want to do, the things in the world is all superimposition. Do you live into that state of awareness? Even this teaching is superimposition. But we are exploring the reality. We are learning there is no teaching at all. There is no teacher. There is no student. There is nothing else except the consciousness. But this superimposition is required in the beginning. Why? To de-superimpose the past. Master says this clearly. Eastern wisdom is not a religion, cult, dogma, and belief. You have reached to that state through everything. What do you mean? Through all the text. But you said that you have to respect the text until you are a seeker and until you have a recognition. Once you realize through, burn off all of them. Why burn all of them? They are a very finer superimposition. You will get carried away that my book is so great. That is also a superimposition. With that reference, you don't burn the books. It's a metaphor. Not at all attached. 100%. This is the journey of Eastern wisdom. As long as your intellect does not recognize through the contemplation and reflection and the practice, contemplation, reflection, here knowledge descends down to the mind. It drops all the superimposition. You desuperimpose by the knowledge, then whatever is left is just the real self. This is the process of, it is purely an intellectual process with awareness, superimposition, desuperimposition. Wave to water, gold to gold ring. You see? Now you talk of gold to gold ring. Gold is the essence. Beautiful necklace, yes. Beautiful waves in the beach, yes. But because your mind is holding on to the real self, so you are not at all affected. Yes, blueness and the sky, blueness is gone. Mirage water is gone. Sunlight and sand is there. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Sometimes we find when we close our eyes, we find now the time has come to fall into sleep. That is also a superimposition. I hope nobody is sleeping. You have to check it every moment, from moment to moment. Oh, this is superimposition, recognize it. Simple. I'm saying what the master is saying, not I'm saying. Why should I say? Everything is said by the master. Master is saying just recognize. When I recognize it is a superimposition, I'm happy. Why I'm happy? Because happiness is the real self. We're going deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay. What difference it makes, you talk in every session the same stuff. Now look at in a very we will go to the craziest stuff. Master, you have to see the genius of the master. What I used to say, look at the neck joint. Neck joint is a part of the body. Look inside. Sensation, comfort, and steadiness. Who experiences the mind? So I am superimposing sensation, comfort, and steadiness in the mind over other negative superimpositions which keeps my mind attached to the body. That is what is known as the practice. But if I put the knowledge there, I don't need to do the practice. I simply recognize. Why so-called in pain, in duality, in conflict, in egoistic movement, I lose my awareness to discover my real self. Or more or less, it is subconscious and mechanical, habitual, impulsive state of the conscious, of the mind that cannot do the self discovery. Simple way. You have to contemplate and reflect on this. You are aware of the entire body. You told that this body is also superimposition. Why I have to? Your intellect should reach to that inquiry. Why you are saying this? The teacher says, okay, if you are not a great seeker, then we say, okay, at least you do it. You are aware of the entire body, you look inside and you experience the sensation, comfort, and steadiness is experienced in the mind because of the real self, because of the consciousness beneath. I see the beautiful wave because the water is beneath. That very recognition makes you relax. It is not the practice. Now you are sleeping and doing the practice, it will not happen. 50 years, sleeping also means lot of stuff. that your mind is distracted. Why it is distracted? You are talking of the same stuff. Yes, because of superimposition. Otherwise, what is the need to distract your mind? Why it was not distracted when you were born? I superimpose so many millions and millions of the thoughts and feeling and labels. Okay, this is what you are saying. I have understood, but I forget it. Repeat listening and learning, repeat contemplation and reflection is required. That is why we say, oh, you have to practice daily. You see that we say practice in our Eastern wisdom means regularity, continuity, consciously. That is why even in the practice of asanas we say move slowly and gently. It is all because of your awareness. To maintain your awareness, there is no secret behind it. So now, ocean is calm, means the water is calm. There is no disturbance at all. Good? Yes. So the moment the mind runs after a thought, it is a wave. Just recognize it is a wave, the water is beneath. Real self is beneath. Just recognition. In the beginning, we have a twofold recognition. One is the superimposition, which hides the water. We get absorbed into the waves. We see the homes, the space hides behind it. So, any thought, are you aware extraordinarily? Yes. Any thought comes. So, two things. First, the thought as a wave rises, and because I'm conscious, so I know it. And because I'm conscious, so I'm consciousness. Clear? So I'm holding on to the consciousness, but then I have to get rid of this superimposition. Oh, thought says that my honey doesn't listen to me. Okay, then we go to the honey part, the label. You reflect there, you contemplate there. Now I already have lot of pain in the body. Okay, pain in the body. I have a pain. I'm simply saying you recognize you do nothing. So the Buddha found a secret of this journey. How? Breath awareness without changing the rate and the rhythm of the don't you are not focusing on it. You are recognizing that the first breath has come and gone inside, second breath has gone outside, third breath gone inside, fourth breath went outside. Why I say first, second, third, fourth? Because every breath lives in a time, lives in a location of the body, and gives me an experience. So I superimpose that it is the same breath. You are looking at the breath. Why it is not the same breath? Whatever is changing is nothing but a superimposition. I have to recognize behind this superimposition there is a real self in the pure consciousness. My mind says I have a pain, so there is a superimposition. So there is a thought, first superimposition, there is a feeling, second superimposition, then there is a recognition of a part of the body, fourth superimposition, and then the mind says, no, you have been reacting to this pain. Why don't you react now? Now I'm holding on to the real self. What happens? That reaction as a superimposition subsides. Oh, is it possible? Yes. If it is not possible, that's why the doctor give anesthetics. They give you anesthesia to do the surgery. But we do it consciously. I just gave the gossip in the practice. In fact, it is non-practice. You reflected on it, and your mind started dropping all the superimpositions. How? By it's a recognition, or you can say it's a cognition. I don't want to use the word therapy, but it is Eastern wisdom CBT. CBT, cognitive behavior therapy. But they live on the surface. I don't want to say too much otherwise. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your mind on the right hand. Bring your mind on the left hand. Lift your Buddha palms, place it on your eyes, open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences, bring the hands down. We'll share our experiences. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you for the lesson. I've been thinking about the superimposition with respect to the intellect and the mind. So it is, I think it is quite easy to understand this concept of superimposition with the intellect through reasoning, through the logic, through the explanation. But obviously, the mind continues to have faith in superimpositions
Yes.
and continue to discard the contemplations of the intellect that superpositions are false. So I think there's one important notion about the difference between the mind and intellect, that the intellect is learns by reasoning and by logic, and the mind learns not by logic but by repetition.
Wonderfully said.
So when we say that one has to do the repeat listening and repeat learning, it is not because someone's intellect is poor or someone is not able to understand, but because no matter how great the intellect is, the mind just uses a different mechanism to learn.
Yes.
And this is why the repeat listening and repeat learning. Thank you.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. Intellect knows it. What the intellect knows, that I'm wearing the glasses? Are you sure? There is no glass here. You see that? So you discard just as a superimposition. Finished. Now I have glasses here, but I don't have glasses. How are you, David and Jerry?
Thank you. That was really, really wonderful. And Dennis, that was a brilliant summary. Thank you. That really struck it. The impositions are very fascinating because if you look at another aspect of it, Drew and I like to cook, and they say in cooking, garbage in, garbage out, meaning good quality products going out. And I think if we have that same sort of thought with our mind of, using the intellect to disseminate and provide the mind with that, to Dennis's point, the mind will start to get trained. So it's going to be I'm looking forward to reflecting on this one. Meditation was deep and peaceful. Thank you.
Yeah. You both, man, Dennis, made it very clear the mind does not understand by logic, by cause and effect. Intellect understands by cause and effect relationship. But all my transactions in the world is done by the mind, supported by the knowledge. But still we make a mistake. So that is how the masters have discovered the 3 steps. Listening and learning means that now intellect is active. Contemplation and reflection, now intellect is pushing the mind. Followed by the practice that removes the ignorance of the mind. Meditation is done to remove the ignorance of the mind. What is ultimately left is the real self. You cannot remove it. That is what is self-absorption. That is what is self-absorption. And that reveals the knowledge. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good, thank you. It's I feel like simply that if we surrender to existence, consciousness, and we have faith there, then everything after that, the external is constantly changing. So indeed, there will be struggle and duality, but not with from the place of consciousness. So consciousness will know exactly how to guide our intellect and our minds. And sometimes, for me personally, I found that there are things that I have to tell my mind, to remind my mind that thank you for this challenging time. Thank you for this the miscommunication. Thank you for because it's easy when everything's joyous. But it's those challenging, chaotic times that are indeed there in this transactional world. And if I just have to remind my mind to step back and take a breath and know how to proceed.
Yes, you're right. You're perfectly right. You see, there's another way. The moment I recognize the entire constantly changing world is nothing but a play of imposition and superimposition. Superimposition and desuperimposition. Once I have a 100% recognition, where is the problem in my life? There is no problem. That's another approach. But it is the same thing what Master is talking about. But yes, during challenging times, whether I remember, I recall or not, that is why repeat listening and learning, repeat contemplation and reflection. And when you're doing a contemplation reflection, you get absorbed. You are already doing meditation. All the steps are done. Beautifully said. Thank you. How are you, Brandy?
I'm fine, thank you. I had an interesting experience this week. I was in a relatively mild car wreck where somebody in the car that I was in hit us from behind pretty hard. And I knew what had happened before my senses processed what happened. Again, there was a split second where I knew something had happened, but I didn't hear the crash yet, and I didn't realize I hit my head. And so I think for me, that was an example of sort of the separation, right? Of what can happen in a situation like that, like a split second situation like that, that just drives home the lesson of this, just a fraction, right, of the superimposition.
It happens for a fraction of a second. You are aware of an event outside. It is the process of imposition and superimposition, and I'm separate. You need not to say it, still you recognize it. That is what the cognition, that is what helps us to live into that moment of mindfulness. That is what our masters are talking about, living from a moment to moment, not the other way around. How are you, Terry? Are you living from a moment to moment?
It's a for the mind to grasp that which it can't grasp. The paradox.
Yeah. Mind has to work with the paradox in a transactional world outside, and it has to recognize that there is some entity free from imposition and superimposition. If it does not recognize, that is why you see the entire literature, more than the 3,000 texts, the mind has been approached in thousands of different ways. Oh, mind is impurity. Mind is the cause of this suffering. Mind is the cause of awakening. You have the mind, we say impurity, and then we say suffering. Mind accumulates the impurities, and that causes the suffering. If mind is impulsively nature. So we have studied, our masters have studied very clearly the very nature of the mind, the structure of the mind, the function of the mind, and how to get rid of the mind. modern psychology, they have to live in the mind to find the solution. We say transcend the mind. That makes a big challenge.
Is thought. Is thought always
Yeah.
of the mind?
You take the thought and from there you process. You take a feeling and you process. Superimposition, desuperimpposition, that will work. So if you desuperimpose that you are the body, are you suffering from the illness which you are suffering? No. It is desuperimposed. You are not the body. How can you suffer?
I'm just
You are not worthy of suffering. How are you, Ashok? No, I know that, you see, I have to understand. So you are already superimposed that I'm the body.
no, I'm thought. I'm a thought.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
How are you, Ashok?
Sir,
Sir, namaste.
Namaste, sir.
Sir, I understand that